Hello everybody, welcome to Nostalgia Gaggles. I'm Chris, also known as Retro Gaming Nerd, and we're going back to Sonic Advance. Today we're talking about Sonic Advance 2. I have no clue if you can see this or not. So today we're going to be talking about this game, and this was the one that I played as a kid, and this was my favorite one as a kid, but it also caused me frustration. So let's see if that frustration came from the fact that I was pretty young playing these games, or if it is actually a frustrating game or not. Well, let's get into it. So the story of Sonic Advance 2 is pretty simple. All Eggman really wants to do is build Eggman Land, nothing new. The only difference this time is he captures a whole bunch of animals, including Knuckles, Tails, Cream, and Cream's mom, Vanilla. And it is now your job to save your friends, Cream, and Vanilla, but like there's a caveat to that one, so yeah. The story is very simple. It's what you expect from a Sonic game. I guess the only real new thing is that he captured your friends, and even then, I don't know if that's new to the Sonic lore. I feel like he's just been capturing fuzzy animals and your friends, so like, nothing really new. With that being said, let's move on to the gameplay. So when it gets right down to it, this game plays very similar to the last one, but with like way more bullshit. Before I get into that, let me talk about the characters in this game. There's Sonic, Cream, Tails, and Knuckles. Those are the characters that are in this game. Sonic plays like how you would think he would, Tails plays like how you think he would, Knuckles plays the same, Cream is the only new one, and Cream plays like a regular Sonic character. The only difference this time is that they have Cheese, and Cheese is this almighty god of destruction because it will destroy bosses. It'll turn them into Swiss cheese practically. She is like the easy mode, I would argue, to the game, but it still requires you to pay attention. It's not like you can just beat bosses and that's it, you press one button. No, you still have to time it. Cheese does have a cooldown period, but at the end of the day, each character plays the same as they respectively did in their last game. The biggest difference that comes from this game, character-wise, is that they now have a kind of recovery jump. The reason why I say that is because it's after you hit a spring, you are able to press the R button in the direction, and it will either boost them forward with an attack like Knuckles or Sonic. The others don't have an attack that just boosts them forward, or it allows you to boost yourself up, which Knuckles is the only one that I believe has an attack as well, but it allows you to get a little bit more air, which is useful in this game because it will save you from the endless amounts of spikes and bottomless pits. This game has a whole fuck ton of those. I feel like there's a meme that goes around my friend group, and that is us talking about how a game dimpsed something, because that's the company that worked on this game, Dimps, or the developer. I don't know exactly where they go, but they're known for these. And I feel like in the first one, that's not that big of an issue. I haven't dealt with the bottomless pits or the spikes, but this one is ridiculous, man. The ice level is, I think, at its worst, and then okay, so here's the hardest thing. It's hard for me to explain this, so I'm hoping that you can see all of my fuck-ups, but when it gets right down to it, there is a lot of bottomless pits. There's a lot of spikes that kind of come out of nowhere, and there's a lot of moments of where the bottomless pits just come out of nowhere, and it does kind of ruin the experience for this game. Mainly if you're playing as Sonic, though. I feel like the other characters probably have better recovery, but even then, it feels like the bottomless pits come at places that just are kind of ridiculous. In later Sonic games, I used to kind of scoff at, there was a little picture, a little sign of like a Sonic's death animation, and I used to kind of go, why is that there? And now I realize this is the reason. Dimps is the reason. The Sonic Advance 2 is the reason why we have more warnings of bottomless pits, because it just feels ridiculous. It ruins the flow of the game, especially with an ice level being the one that comes to mind the most. I know a lot of people don't like the musical level, but I don't have a big issue with that one. That one's more of spikes, but like, I don't know. Another thing that's interesting with this game that kind of can be seen as an issue is that all of the bosses are constantly moving. You are running towards most of the bosses, and I feel like it's fine for most, but some also just feel like they're a pain because you have to time it right. And I know that sounds normal, of course you have to time it right, of course, but these ones feel like the timing is just harder. This game feels harder, but not like organically harder. It feels like Sega just looked at the game and went, I guess one playtester can beat it, so it's good enough. I'm not saying that this game's hard, but it's more bullshit than hard. And I'm not trying to say that that's bad, because the game itself fools you, because the beginning levels feel super solid and super tight, especially since, you know, Sonic plays great, Knuckles plays great, Tails, everyone plays great. It's just, it feels like the levels are just kind of bullshit, especially more in the latter half. And really all I have to say. I feel like all in all, the game has a lot of BS to it, and I think that, like, it would be fine, and I think it is technically fine. I feel like if you play as Knuckles, Tails, or Cream, it's better, because each one of those characters have some kind of recovery that's better, where Knuckles can glide, and Tails and Cream actually can kind of fly, so I feel like they work better for this game, but it's weird for me to be like, oh yeah, hey, here's a Sonic game, don't play as Sonic. Oh, and last but not least, something I forgot to mention is that you need the Chaos Emeralds to get the correct ending, because Cream's mom gets shot into space, which is what Cream's looking for. And without the Chaos Emeralds, they're just in space. And I have not seen the Chaos Emerald Zone, so I can't speak on them. And I have kind of just resigned myself to not seeing the Chaos Emerald Zones in these games. I just don't think I have the patience. I'm not Spiny Norman. I don't have the patience to find these Chaos Emeralds and do all this crap. There is more to this game that I'm talking about, but my show is about does it hold up, not every aspect of the game. I'm mainly saying this because I absolutely am not having a great time. I think that that's in truth, I should just be honest. This game frustrates me, and the idea of doing extra frustrates me, so I'm going to take it out on this video. I don't know. With that being said, let's talk about the presentation. So when it gets down to the presentation, I feel like the best way for me to put it is watch the last video I made, which was Sonic Advanced, right? Like, everything that I said in that one, I feel kind of the same with this one. The only real difference is that, like, no, there is none. I think the presentations are great. I think there's nothing really more to say about the presentation of this game. It sounds great, it looks great, and I feel like I don't want to just sound like a broken record, so I'm going to move on to accessibility. When it gets right down to it, you're gonna pay about like 30 bucks for this game. I feel like that's a decent price. I don't exactly know. I feel like it's fine. Kinda sucks that there's no other way to play these kind of games, but I said that in the last episode. I feel like realistically this episode's just like an echo of that one, but with a little bit more frustration towards the level design, which we'll talk more about in the goods and the bads. So when it gets right down to it, the gameplay itself is super solid for Sonic Advance 2. It's just everything else kind of suffers. When this game feels good, it feels good. I absolutely love the trick system that is in this game. I love how the characters play from Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Cream, and I just really appreciate and like what this game has done, at least in the gameplay department. The first 2 to even argumentatively 3 levels feel really good. It's the rest of it that kind of falls apart, and that's kind of what makes this game hard to talk about. So with that being said, let's move on to the bads. Man, one of the really bad things about this game is level design and level layout. It feels really good in the first 2 levels, and then the third one is where it starts to kind of get into bullshit by adding spikes or like unseeable spikes, and then eventually in the next level there's bottomless pits, and even then, even in level 2, right, or stage 2, there's even kind of unfair or odd choices in a direction where you have to change the direction or you have to do a very specific thing, which if you don't catch on to that, you will be lost. And I feel like that's the biggest problem with this game, is that that combination alone really sucks. There's been a lot of times within my game where absolute bullshit has killed me. Bottomless pits have killed me so much that it makes kind of going back to this game really annoying. And I understand that, like, characters like Cream and Tails and Knuckles can kind of remedy it, but like, it really shouldn't be that way. And yes, you are able to play the game fully through with Sonic. It is possible, but you're going to lose a lot of lives, and it just kind of sucks to have to struggle bug it this way through. Now, eventually you'll get good at this game if you keep playing it, and you'll get used to the bullshit, but like, I feel like that's still kind of rough. This is one of those games that if I have to say that it doesn't hold up, it doesn't hold up by the gameplay design itself, not even the gameplay. The gameplay is so damn solid that it's so hard for me to kind of talk shit about the design, but it really does suck. Speaking of the design itself, another thing that kind of sucks about this game is the way that it handles bosses. I feel like if it was a mixture of running bosses and traditional Sonic bosses, or even something different, I don't know, it just feels like the running bosses have too much of a margin of error, which really just kind of sucks, because like, you have a certain amount of time to do them. The first 2 bosses, which is kind of how it works. I'd argue that there is some difficulties, but after that, it just kind of feels like bullshit. I do not like the choice that they did with this one. and I just don't like it. It's annoying. It makes me kind of dread doing the bosses, especially if you manage to make it through the level design that is shit, and then you have to deal with an ass boss. It's like, come on, give me a break. And if this game gave a little bit more of breaks, and I'm not saying that the game needs to be easy, it's just I feel like I would like a lot more warning for some of the BS that happens within this game, because there's a lot of moments where you drop down and there's spikes, or there's an endless pit, or you know, or the game kind of takes control from you, or there's a grind rail you didn't hit just right, so it kind of ends your run. It's like, God, it just sucks. It just really sucks. That's all that I have to bitch about. With that being said, let's move on to the final thoughts. So with that being said, does Sonic Advance 2 hold up? The answer is, I feel like your mileage may vary. This game is interesting because it plays super well, and what I mean by that is, I mean, Sonic and the characters play very well, but the level design is kinda shit, and I think that that's really the biggest issue with this game, and you can get over it. You can definitely beat this game, it's just gonna be tough. And I can't say that that makes the game bad, but it does kind of make the level design a little rough, and all in all, with that being said, I think this game is definitely in your hands with how if it holds up or not. With that being said, what is your favorite Sonic game or favorite handheld Sonic game? There's more than just these. I feel like it's, I don't know, mine is probably Sonic Rush, but with that being said, if you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time here on Nostalgia Goggles. Bye!